This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio. In association with Haversley, experts in the sale of lettings, estate agency and block management businesses. If you're thinking of selling now or in the next 5 years, get in touch. They're a friendly bunch at haversleygroup.com.
Welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on New Horizon Radio. I'm Nancy Stevens, and what a week it's been. It's been quite up and down actually, emotionally, but I've had lots of things to do. It's been quite exciting, and today's show is packed, so grab a cuppa and settle down. I'm going to be talking about the utterly perfect Mary Poppins. Quite simply, the best thing I've ever seen at Milton Keynes Theatre. Also looking at Sally Wainwright's brilliant menopausal drama, Riot Women. Again, the first time I've ever seen menopausal women properly represented on television. Phenomenal. I'm going to talk about my ongoing battle with jeans and the frustrating search for the perfect pair of jeans. I'm also going to be talking about Bobbi Brown's inspiring autobiography. And I'm going to be joined by my special guest, Sophie Neal of Sophie, etc. So going to be talking about lots of food, her fabulous content creation, and everything there is to know about what's going on in Milton Keynes. So stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about my working with Waterstones segment, and Bobbi Brown's Still Bobbi, her story, my story, her story, incredible. Mel Robbins says, feeling stuck, you need to read this book. You really do. I've never, if I'm honest, full disclosure, I've never used Bobbi Brown makeup because I've always thought her makeup wasn't sort of colourful enough or dramatic enough. But this is what she's all about, is looking beautiful naturally. And what I loved about the book is it took her on a journey from her early days as a makeup artist, sort of lugging a kit around New York, to finding one of the most iconic beauty brands in the world. And what's wonderful is how she tells her story. It's not kind of polished perfection. It's grit, graft, and a sort of generous dose of good humour. She doesn't take her seriously at all. She is a workaholic by her own admission, but she always tried to put her family first, her 3 boys. She's very honest about walking away from her namesake brand, and she sold the business to Estee Lauder, which was a huge decision. And she started again at 60. So that's really inspiring for me as someone who's turning 60 next year. I've got big plans in my head, and I'm sort of putting them out to the universe because I want a big change next year. 60 is the year of change. And if she can do it at 60, why can't I? She also redefines success on her own terms. It's not just a beauty industry story either. It's a masterclass in resilience, reinvention, and sort of believing in your own vision. And she's very, by her own admission, tunnel visioned. You know, she had a goal, she had a vision, and that was it. And to the detriment of her business sometimes. She wanted to do the creative stuff. She wasn't necessarily interested in the business side of things, and sometimes that was to her downfall. She sort of wanted to outsource that to, you know, sort of all the business side of it, the accountancy, the boring side of it. And as a creative, and I speak as a creative myself, I'm not interested in all that admin, accountancy, money, business side of things. I just want to get on and do my job and make people feel amazing. And so I kind of get it actually. But if you love if you're someone who loves beauty, business, and a good dose of motivation, honestly, this book is a must read. And what I love about Bobbi Brown is that she's embraced, and her whole USP for her brand has been about looking natural. You want to look like you, only better. And she's one of the few women in the beauty industry who's absolutely had no work done, and she's really proud of that. And I was listening to her on the Mel Robbins podcast the other week, and she was just saying, yeah, I've chosen not to have any work done. Why would I not want to look like me? You know, why would I want to have no expression? Why would I not want to have the face that life has given me? And I thought, yeah, that absolutely resonates as someone who doesn't want to have any work done. And again, I'm not saying to people don't have work done. That is purely a personal decision. But the fact is that, you know, she's over 60 now and has had no work done and looks absolutely fantastic. I think actually it's testament to the fact that if more women in the beauty industry just left their faces alone, maybe they would get to 60 something and think, actually, I look pretty amazing. But they've never given themselves the opportunity to do that because they've had all the tweaks or the treatments or, you know, all that sort of thing. And so you're never going to know what you would have looked like had you not done that. So I really, really admire her for standing strong about not sort of having work done, actually. So yeah, it's an absolutely incredible book actually, and she's, as I say, very, very honest. So a little bit of an insight. So in the 1980s, Bobbi Brown had a crazy thought. Real faces were beautiful. When cosmetic trends were about covering, contouring and transforming, Bobbi blazed her own path, creating makeup that accentuated natural beauty. In doing so, she revolutionized revolutionized an industry. Bobby came by this philosophy. Honestly, it reflected who she is and the way she lives her life. Real is better than fake. Simple is better than complicated. Family comes first. And when life throws obstacles in your path, don't wallow. Figure it out. And in this hard-earned, deceptively simple wisdom is at the heart of Still Bobby. It is an incredible book. This book is available at Waterstones, Milton Keynes, and I honestly, I can't recommend it enough, actually. It's a 10 out of 10 for authenticity and inspiration. And next week I'm going to be reviewing a very, very difficult book, Nobody's Child, by Virginia Giuffre. So stay tuned for my review for that. Now, I know you love a show that tells it like it is, and Riot Women does exactly that. Sally Wainwright's Riot Women is quite simply one of the most incredible shows I've seen on British television, that has shown us what menopausal women really have to go through. And it's a smart, gloriously funny, hugely touching look at menopausal and midlife. And it's about time someone actually did this. So but if you love stories about strong, unapologetic women, the kind who make things happen rather than wait for permission, then Riot Women, created by the brilliant Sally Wainwright, is one to watch. She has long been the queen of TV drama, female-led storytelling, which you don't really see enough of, I don't think, but brilliant Happy Valley to sort of Gentleman Jack. But with Riot Women, she has absolutely nailed it. It is the most fantastic show on television at the moment in terms of representing what women of a certain age are going through. And the title says it all. You know, when you get to a certain age, you almost do want to riot. You do, because your hormones are on a riot march and you are just feeling like you just want to kick back. And oh my God, these 5 incredible women do exactly that. What's so powerful about this drama is that she's weaving together history, rebellion and sisterhood. The heroines are by no means perfect at all. They're very complex, very messy, but determined women full of heart and fight. The dialogue is cracking, and I absolutely love the cast. We've got Lorraine Ashbourne, Tamsin Greig, Joanna Scanlon, Amelia Bullmore and Rosalie Craig, of whom I'm obsessed with. I didn't really know much about Rosalie Craig, but she has red hair that I would absolutely kill for. She's actually musically theatre trained, but she actually takes the role of the singer. Basically, these women get together and their lives are all falling apart for various reasons, and they put together a band for a talent show, and it all gives them purpose because, as I said, their lives are not going the way that they were quite planned. So she's a lead singer, and they're really rocking out. It's this kind of punk rock, so she's really having to sort of stretch her musical theatre vocals, and oh my God, it's rocky and punchy and unapologetically crazy, but what a great cast. And as I say, the storyline works so beautifully, and how these women end up really caring for each other. But at the beginning, you'd think these women aren't going to get together, they're not going to get on, they're not going to have anything in common. But what they do have in common is that they want to be heard. They're sick to death of being invisible and not listened and ignored. And my God, when they put together this band, and the music is just powerful, and the words, I'd be very surprised if they don't release this as a single. Actually, there's a song and they're singing I see red, 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 and they literally are raging because they just want to be seen. It's just phenomenal. It's not just entertainment, it's a rallying cry. Riot Women reminds us that every generation of women has to find its voice, and that courage, laughter and solidarity are absolutely timeless. It's witty, it's wild, wonderfully inspiring. Sally Wainwright is once again proving that she is the sort of master storyteller, particularly for women, and this is her most powerful celebration yet. And my week, oh my God, where do I start? It's been quite the week, actually. My car has failed its MOT quite spectacularly, so I'm dreading the kind of garage bill there. That was a bit of a shock, actually. I think I've really struggled with my emotions this week. I'm being perfectly transparent. I've been very, very hard on myself. So I went to see Mary Poppins last week, and it was the red carpet event, and I was all dressed up, and I felt really, really good, actually, until I saw photos of myself, and I started doing the whole beating up of myself and critiquing myself and going back to the old Nancy and sort of using horrible words like I'm fat and look at this and look at that, and really sort of picking myself apart. And I haven't done that in a very long time, actually, and I've worked really hard on myself this last year, and I was sort of quite disappointed with myself that I'd sort of reverted to that kind of negative behaviour. And I know photographs are just a photo. It doesn't necessarily represent what you actually look like. But for me to start talking about myself in that way was really sort of quite disappointed. And then when I went to see Mary Poppins, it was so emotional. It was so brilliant. I actually couldn't record my vlog. So I will be doing my review in a minute, so you will hear something a little bit more articulate and coherent than what I put out on social media. But I just felt very, very emotional. There were lots of things going on last week, and I'd also had to deal sounds awful, but I'd had a customer who'd come to see me in my job as a personal stylist, and this lovely lady needed a dress for her wedding. She didn't need a wedding dress per se, but she was having to get married really quickly because she was terminally ill, and it really just sort of hit home. It was really hard to sort of talk to someone who knew that their life was ending, but that they wanted to celebrate their marriage. And it really sort of made me think about kind of the circle of life, because the next day, in one of my appointments, I had someone who just had a baby, and then I've just found out that my brother's going to be a grandfather. So it is a circle of life, but it really kind of made me sort of think about things. So yeah, quite thought-provoking actually. But in terms of sort of negative language, I would sort of say, women, ladies, please, let's be kind to ourselves, because it doesn't do you any good, and reverting to that kind of behaviour was, really, really not helpful. But on the plus side, I'm going to talk about Mary Poppins now, because it was quite simply the most joyous thing I have ever seen at Milton Keynes Theatre. From the moment she floats in with her umbrella, Mary Poppins reminds us why some stories never lose their magic, and this production is absolutely perfect. Honestly, as I said, I couldn't deliver my vlog because I was in floods of tears. I was so overwhelmed. It was quite simply perfection. And Disney do the most wonderful productions. I'd seen Aladdin last year, which I didn't think could be beaten. And it's not a competition. I mean, we're not trying to have shows be better than each other, whatever. But Aladdin blew my mind. But Mary Poppins was kind of on another level. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but the dancing was the best I've ever seen. After the sort of a few disappointing shows that I've seen lately, the cast are phenomenal. Mary Poppins is perfect, practically perfect, not even practically perfect. She is perfect. Stephanie Jones as Mary Poppins is phenomenal. She's a combination of sort of Julie Andrews and Emily Blunt. So obviously Julie Andrews was in the original film, and Emily Blunt was Mary Poppins in the movie. And a great combination with those kind of cut glass vowels and that sort of quite sort of matter of fact, but her eyes did all the talking. She was so incredibly expressive, phenomenal, absolutely incredible. And oh my goodness, Jack Chambers as Bert. I have never ever seen dancing like it. I mean, he is the original triple threat. He won Australia So You Think You Can Dance back in 2008, and I've never seen a more incredible tap dancer, but he was so engaging and lively, and every time he was on stage, you just could not take your eyes off him. It was phenomenal. The whole cast, incredible. With Disney, because obviously they've got a big budget, huge cast, so there was no kind of role swapping, which, I know, happens a lot in shows now because of money. But it was just wonderful to see this full cast, and the dancing was choreographed by Matthew Bourne and Stephen Meyer. So as you would expect, absolutely top notch. The set, oh my goodness, the moving statues. I don't want to spoil it, because I'm asking you to go and see the show. I'm begging you to go and see the show. It is quite simply perfection. I can spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but we haven't got time for that. But that is my party trick. But this show is absolutely delightful, enchanting, and utterly magical, and is on at Milton Keynes Theatre till the 22nd of November. So do not miss it. And I'm taking you with me on the great jeans hunt. You know what? I've come to the conclusion that finding the perfect pair of jeans is a bit like dating, full of hope, disappointment, and the occasional miracle. Ta-da! I finally, after I don't even know how long, found the perfect pair of jeans. I cannot tell you what an ordeal this has been, but I've done all the hard work on your behalf. So aren't I good? No, joking aside, I've spent years as a stylist, and you'd think I'd know what I was doing, and I do. But honestly, this choice is so utterly bewildering. We've now got barrel jeans. I mean, the very word barrel is not particularly flattering anyway. So we've moved away from skinnies, and as I said before, I spend my life trying to get ladies out of their skinny jeans, which is quite the task, I have to tell you. But when I explain to them that they're looking like a carrot, they're less keen. So trying to get my customers into sort of something that's sort of a wide leg, or even it's a straight jean, is sometimes quite the mission. But it is quite a minefield out there, as I say. Barrel, skinny, straight, slim, boot cut, flare, wide. I mean, where on earth do you start? And the annoying thing is, not one pair fits the same. Not one pair. So I thought I'm going to do some research on behalf of my customers and for me as well, to try and find the perfect pair of jeans. I only lasted 3 shops. I was nearly on my knees by the end of it. It was not a great process. So first of all, I started off in Zara. And I went into Zara with some trepidation, because I know Zara is a Spanish brand and Spanish girls are very slim and small. So I knew that I was going to probably have to go up a size or 2, which is fine. I don't have an issue about what size I am in terms of, what the number is, as long as it fits. So I tried on a size 14, and unsurprisingly, it wouldn't go past my thighs. And I tried on the 16s, and they're just about fitted, but it wasn't a comfortable denim. So I wasn't loving those, and I don't particularly like a black denim either. So I'm going to put this experiment on my social media account, so _Nancy MK_, so you can see the results. So yeah, I don't, and black jeans will always feel tighter than blue jeans, because something to do with the particles and black dye. So if you ever thought, why are your black jeans tighter than your blue jeans, that is why. Then next I went to Marks and Spencer's, which used to be the go-to, and Marks and Spencer's were previously kind of guilty of what I would sort of say vanity sizing. So if you're a 14, actually you were a 16. So I thought, well, that'll be quite easy. But say that was not the case. The 12s, I couldn't even get past my knees. The 14s I couldn't even do them up. And then the 16s were huge. So that's confusing. So bearing in mind, I'm generally a 14 trouser. I'm very confused at this point, and I'm really losing the will to live, because I've tried on so many different styles as well. But here's the thing. It's not us, it's them. Brands still can't seem to agree on what real sizing looks like. And women end up feeling sort of so deflated and not empowered. So my advice, ignore the number. It's the fit that feels good. Then I went to Mint Velvet. And I tried on a pair of 14 jeans, and they didn't fit. And I was like, okay, this is curious. Then I tried these jeans on. They're a 12. Listeners, viewers, these jeans are a 12. What did I just say about wearing a 16 in Zara? And I'm ending up in a 12. Now, I'm not going to buy into the whole, these are a 12, so I'm going to buy them because 12 is a smaller number. It's going to make me feel better. But these are the only ones that actually fitted me, and they're actually the only ones that are really comfortable. So they're high-waisted with a double button and a lot of lycra in them. So technically, they probably are a 14, and they're a wide, dark denim. But I've had to have them taken up because everything is so long now as well. So it's all about the length as well. I mean, I have so many petite customers who are 5'3" and under who can't find jeans to fit them because everything's like about a foot long. So they have to take them up as well. So that's frustrating. I had a customer yesterday who had a 34-inch leg and everything was too short. So again, the choice is, you think there's a lot of choice because you've got all these different names or whatever and styles, but actually there's very little choice at all. So I would sort of say, please, when you do find the jeans that hug in the right places and make you feel confident and comfortable, it is love. I promise you it is love. For those of you who know me well, I don't wear jeans. I own one other pair of jeans, which is elasticated, and they're not particularly flattering. They're just comfy. But I've always found jeans really, really uncomfortable. And if I'm honest, I've always felt that they made me look bigger than I actually am. So the fact that I found these Mint Velvet jeans, they're not cheap. They're £99. You generally do get what you pay for. So, I would sort of say spend the money. And if your problem area is your bottom half, like it is mine, then that's where you need to spend the money. So top half is not my issue. This is a tops from Mango, not particularly expensive. But my jeans I do have to spend, and my trousers I do have to spend money. So I would sort of say when you do finally find the one, it is love. Dinner dating is tough, but when you find your match, hold on tight. It's a relationship worth keeping. And coming up, I've got my special guest, Sophie, etc., who's an award-winning food and lifestyle influencer, sharing great independent places to eat and explore in Milton Keynes. Sophie, etc. She is also the founder and director of Social, etc., a social media agency for food and hospitality brands. Welcome, Sophie.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's so lovely to actually finally meet you, because, you know, we see each other on Instagram, and we were talking off air about, you know, the Instagram versus reality, and the reality of what we both have to do behind the scenes to make things look amazing. And it's quite different. But I mean, firstly, where did it all start? I mean, what's your background?
So I started my blog when I was 17 at sixth form in 2012. So I've been going like a long time before kind of being an influencer and things was like a proper job.
Yeah.
And I just did it because I enjoyed it and I wanted to kind of like a creative outlet. And then when I went to university in Birmingham, that's where I kind of repositioned my blog and my online space to be kind of more about food. And then when I came back to Milton Keynes in 2016, I decided to use it as a way to kind of discover independent places to eat in Milton Keynes, because it didn't feel like anyone else was really doing that. And it's kind of grown since then, really. And alongside that, I have pretty much always had a full-time job. So when I left uni, I started working in PR. And then after that, I went to manage social media at Bletchley Park. And I did that through most of lockdown. And then in 2021, I decided to leave the safety of employed life and go freelance and start Social, etc., which is my social media agency.
It's quite the leap. It's quite a brave thing to do. And every now and then I'm sort of tempted, and I'm like, oh my god, it just feels so scary, because I'm, I've got a mortgage and I'm, sensible and terribly risk averse as well. But I've said sort of next year is my 60th year, and I feel like change is afoot. But it is, it is a brave thing to do. And I had Ollie Corbett on a couple of weeks ago, who, again, took the brave decision to leave a really well-paid, comfortable job at Arts One to go freelance. And I mean, how does that feel when you actually hand in your notice knowing this is it, I have to make this work? I mean, that must be quite scary. And what advice would you give to people like me or other people out there who are thinking of doing, taking that big leap?
So for me, I think it felt like quite like a natural step, because at the time I'd been part-time furloughed from my job. So I figured that I was never going to get the opportunity again to be earning kind of like a full-time salary with more time on my hands. So I kind of went about setting things up behind the scenes, and I very quickly got to the point where my pipeline for social media clients matched the salary that I would be taking home from my job. And it was actually my husband Dan who said, if you don't do this now, like, you're not when are you gonna do it? I will back you if you need it. Fortunately, like, he didn't have to do that, and it meant that I could spend more time building like a pipeline of clients, and the business kind of just grew and grew. And actually it's been a really big moment this year, because Dan has actually left his job to join Social, etc. So he left his role in May this year, and we're now working on the business together. And I feel really proud of the fact that I've been able to, grow the business to a point that I can't do it all on my own anymore. And he's been able to join it. And now we're kind of doing that because we want to build a better life for ourselves. So, yeah.
That's incredible. So for people who are thinking about it, would you just say it's all about the preparation? Is working, making sure that you are ready to go. You don't just sort of decide on a whim and then go, oh my God, I've got no clients. It's a lot of prep, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And I think there will never be like the perfect time. I think that's the kind of looking back, it felt like all the stars were aligned for me. And in any other situation where, you wouldn't have been furloughed, or you'd still be working kind of full or part-time, I don't think I would have I think it would have happened, but it'd have been a lot further down the line. So it felt like the right moment to take the leap. But obviously I had a mortgage to pay. So it was kind of like a phased approach of, okay, for most people, they need to match their income that they're taking home from their job. But then you also reach a point where if you are matching that, you're going to need some more time to grow that even more. So if you can kind of phase an approach, I think that's like a logical, like safe thing to do, because you could go part-time at a job and kind of like gradually work towards it. But I was fortunate that obviously I had grown, not fortunate, I had worked really hard
Yes, you deserve it.
to build a personal brand through Sophie, etc. So when I did reach that point, I emailed all of the contacts that I had or that I felt I could work with and said, hey, like I'm going freelance, do you need help with your social media? So I kind of used the contacts that I'd had and kind of stayed visible through the network that I'd built, if that makes sense.
Sophie, we were talking just before the break that I was going to ask you about why food. I mean, I know you do other things. You're so much more than food, but everyone knows you as this amazing foodie. Were you always a foodie? Was it a natural thing to do?
Everyone always asks me that, and I think they often expect me to say like, oh, my parents were chefs or something, but that's not the case. Like I actually used to be quite fussy when I was younger, and it wasn't really until I got to university that I really kind of discovered that I like cooking and I liked eating out at restaurants and things, and it's kind of grown from there really. And I think I have now like a real personal interest in food. Like I love how it brings people together. I love how different cuisines have got like their own heritage and things, and I also really love connecting with the restaurant owners and the food vendors that I meet through my blog and like my Instagram and stuff as well. And I always love hearing their stories and kind of why they've ended up sharing their own love of their cuisine and things with people. And I really like eating. Like I enjoy the experience of food, and me and my husband love cooking at home as well. So when we're not eating out at restaurants, we are usually cooking something.
I think you'd be, the amount of eating out you do, I think you'd be the size of a small house.
I walk the dog every day, and I run a lot, and I lift a lot of heavy things.
Okay,
so
fair enough. But I mean, in terms of, as you said, it's really interesting as to, the sort of origin of why restaurants come to fruition, and for you, the different types of cuisine and the heritage and the story behind it. So in terms of sort of like, do you have favorites? And I know you can't mention favorite restaurants because it's almost like choosing your favorite child, but do you have a particular type of food that you really love that is your go-to?
We really love Japanese food.
Okay.
We went to Japan earlier this year, and that had kind of been like a really long time coming. And I remember the moment when I turned down and I said, we are going to go to Japan. We were watching, there's a Netflix series called Chef's Table where they go around the world to different restaurants. And one of the episodes that they did for the street food series was in Japan. And there was a takoyaki stand that was like nearly 100 years old. Takoyaki are like octopus dumplings. And I remember saying, we are going to go to Japan and we are going to go to that stall. And we went there this year. And it was, for me, that was like perfectly kind of encapsulating like why I love food so much, is like you can see all these things on social media and on TV, but actually it's only like a small bit of the experience. Like you have to go there and experience it for yourself, and that like probably is up there with one of the highlights. Like it was literally like a 3 or 4 pound tray of dumplings, but it was just so good. Yeah, we went back twice because we loved it so much. So
it's incredible. Japan is incredible. I mean, I went to Japan many years ago, and I mean, I was struck by obviously what you'd expect from Japan is sort of the sheer orderliness of it, and it's clean and it's efficient and it's amazing, and the shopping it just blew my mind. But the food, as you say, I remember a restaurant in Tokyo called Tokyo Joe's, and this is a long time ago. This is like 30 years ago, and these incredible. It was very garlicky. It may as well have been called Garlic Joe's because it was incredible. But I just remembered the service that we got there was absolutely. I've never experienced customer service like it. Efficient, kind, helpful, and honestly, the Japanese could not do more for us. And for me, it's all about, as you know, and you probably experience this a lot, is that the customer service is almost as important as the food. You can have a great meal, but if somebody just chucks the food down and isn't interested in talking to you or making you feel special, you're not going to have a great experience. So for me to have amazing food and phenomenal customer service, I was like, that is a massive tick. For you, would you say would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, in the same breath, you could have like slightly average food, but if the customer service is good and it's really warm and welcoming and you're made to feel kind of, like the only customer there kind of thing, I think that always adds to the experience. And that's kind of almost what makes us go back to places more than once. That and consistency. Like if, you've got to have good enough food to go back. So yeah, those two things I think for us.
Yeah, I think you're right about consistency. I do find with a lot of restaurants that consistency is an issue actually, and I guess you do get that with a lot of chains when they sort of been taken over. And I know you sort of only work with independents, so we'll talk a little bit about that. So if you were talking about sort of independent restaurants, and then before I ask you what your favourite 5 restaurants are, what sort of, is there a particular reason why I probably know the answer to this, but why you want to support independent restaurants? Because, I guess with chains, they don't need the help really, but is that what you've sort of naturally fell into, going into independence?
Yes.
Your thing?
Yes. And I think with Milton Keynes, there is a perception that Milton Keynes is just the city centre and
the chains.
And it's all chain restaurants. And I wanted to firstly kind of subvert that, because I don't think it's true. I think Milton Keynes, obviously, it's a collection of lots of, smaller villages and towns and things as well. And also, like you said, chain restaurants have huge marketing budgets. They are recognised nationally, but also globally too. So they don't... Every restaurant and hospitality needs support, but I feel quite passionate about just supporting and showcasing the independents, because I think they need a little bit more support, and I always feel like they provide like a better experience in my own personal experience.
Yeah, because I guess they've got more to prove,
Yes.
As I say, with a multinational, and as you say, huge budgets, nothing to prove, because the name the name is there, and it's a kind of a given really, but not particularly special. So what are your 5 favourite restaurants in no particular order in Milton Keynes?
So at the moment, I love Ole Tapas Bar, which is a Spanish restaurant in Wolverton. The couple who run it are from San Sebastian in Spain, which is where we went on our honeymoon. So that's
special memories.
Yeah, very special. We've been going for the last 8 years since they opened, so it's been really nice to kind of see them.
I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah,
so there you go.
I get that a lot. So the other place is Rowley's, which is a shipping container in Great Brick Hill. They serve the most amazing breakfast rolls in Milton Keynes. They use meat all from the best butchers. So that is one of our go-tos, and I always crave that. That's 2. 3. The Cross Keys in Woolstone is my favourite pub. I think they are really consistent and really good food, lovely kind of like village pub vibes. And I also love Akasaka, which is a Japanese Korean restaurant.
Again, we've got one. That was here either.
It's literally like you can see the building right now.
Okay.
It's in central Milton Keynes.
Oops.
And they also have one in Wolverton, which is kind of their original one. And I need one more. Oh, you've put me on the spot.
Fine dining? Anything fine dining?
Fine dining. We really like Paris House for fine dining. And I'm going to go bonus. The Greedy Italian is kind of like a bit of a go-to for us for kind of like a nice date night. Okay. They've just moved to Woburn Sands, and I still need to visit the new location, but
yes,
I love it there.
Yes, because I went to there when they were in Fenny, and I phenomenal experience and proper Italian food, but I didn't like being so, it felt too small. I don't like sitting so close to other people. People were in my personal space almost, but the food was just phenomenal. And I agree with you, Paris House for fine dining is utterly superb. Phil really knows his stuff, and as you say, there's a Japanese influence, and the customer service at Paris House is extraordinary. And just driving up there, I mean, I've only ever been in the winter, but it's just beautifully lit up, and it's it's so British really, but then the food is not. And even going to the loo is an experience. And again, that for me, that's about making, you are made to feel so special from the moment you arrive, and they take your coats and they seat you down, they seat you, and the drinks and the presentation is all about, we eat with our eyes, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no foodie, but it's just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, presentation is always really good there. So yeah.
Sorry, that was a quite tough question.
That's okay.
Yeah, lots more to talk about coming up. Sophie, we're talking about Instagram versus reality and how hard it is to build a kind of community and followers. And as someone who's, this is what you do and you're so brilliant at it, but it's hard work, isn't it? It really is. And people don't see how much work goes in the editing and which bits to keep in and what to put out and perception and all that sort of thing. So how do you make it work? Because it is hard and it is quite boring, and everybody thinks it's such a glamorous life being an influencer, but the reality is it's behind the scenes, it's way more work than the reality, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And I will hold my hand up and say that it's an easier choice than working like a solid 8-5.
Yeah.
I am very lucky in that respect. But yes, I think a lot of people think it is very straightforward and simple and
glamorous.
And that it's very easy as just kind of putting out content. But per video, it can take me like an hour, 2 hours to put something together, go through all the footage, edit all the pictures, the clips, do voiceovers. Plus the fact that, I am going out for dinner, and that's great. But, that's time as well. We might spend 2-3 hours at a restaurant filming stuff. And it's also, it's not like a regular experience either. Like I'm looking around, looking for shots, thinking, how I can capture things in a way that resonates. So much work goes on behind the scenes, and also the whole community management aspect of it. I have a Facebook group with like 20,000 people in it, which can get quite busy at times. And for all of the positive comments that I get and the support, there's always negative comments as well. And it's really difficult sometimes to not take that personally, but in the same breath, it's not that deep. I'm just sharing restaurants.
and I get it, but it is hard work. And I was just saying, I'm very lucky, and I do it on a sort of a lesser scale than you. But for instance, if I go to the theatre again, I'm very lucky to do that. I get to see the most amazing shows. But again, sitting there, you're doing the schmoozing beforehand, then watching a show for which is 2 hours, and then you get home and you have to post that night. You have to do a vlog, and again, it's the editing and making sure that you're happy with X, Y, and Z, or do you do a voiceover? Which clips are relevant? What's your cover picture going to be? And then you put it out there, and then you wait for it to resonate or blow up, or it doesn't, and you're like, oh, I've only got X amount of numbers. And it's we can get kind of caught up on numbers, and it's a shame because it can take the joy away from the actual, as you say, when you're sitting in a restaurant, you're thinking, well, what angle can I use? Or I'm sitting there watching a show, I'm thinking, well, what line can I come up with as a pithy phrase? And turns out, after Mary Poppins last week, nothing. I just cried like a baby. But generally speaking, it's you're constantly thinking, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. And I think when I'm eating or like out at a restaurant, I'm thinking about how the video is going to look online as well. So sometimes it can be a little bit more challenging to kind of fully enjoy that experience. But to be honest, it's become so second nature to me now that it does feel a little bit easier. And because it is a creative job that I have, and it's a creative thing that I do. My source of creativity is not unlimited. So sometimes I just don't have the energy or the brain space or capacity to kind of edit it. So I will take kind of small breaks. And, it isn't my full-time thing. It's something I kind of do alongside running a social media agency with my husband full-time. And we've got clients that we need to look after. And that's the thing that pays our bills. So it is kind of a constant juggle of like prioritizing and, also making sure that I'm giving my Instagram content some love as well.
And absolutely, and we talked about numbers sort of off air as well. It's like what will resonate on TikTok won't on Instagram, and it's finding that right platform, and as I say, not getting sort of caught up with the numbers. But as you say, you've built this wonderful community, and it's about bringing joy and sharing the message of, these are the restaurants that I recommend and these are the reasons why. And, I guess people, for you, that must bring you tremendous satisfaction though.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I love speaking to people who have found something they love. And it's very easy to say, oh, it's just a restaurant, but it's a restaurant that someone goes to for a date night, or in some cases like to propose or celebrate an anniversary or celebrate something special. And it makes those restaurants make their way into people's lives, and that feels really special for me as well.
Oh, it's amazing. And we're coming up to the end of the show now, but we're going to talk about social media, which is ironic, but that is how we can find you on social media, and as I say, the wonderful community and toy box that you've built. And what else are we going to talk about? So Paul's brain today. Sophie's Street Feast, and the work. So and your supper club as well. You do so many things. So tell us about the supper club first.
So Sophie Supper Club, I haven't done one in a while, but I set up Sophie Supper Club back in 2019, which is a social dining event that I host in collaboration with local restaurants, and it's a way for people to just kind of have a nice night with food. I didn't want it to be a networking event. I wanted it to be a nice evening where people could meet others, but also maybe discover a new place to eat and take their own friends and family back. And then Sophie's Street Feast, I guess, was kind of like the next step along from that. I love street food, and I really enjoyed going to local street food events, and me and Naomi and Emily from Toy Box were talking about having a street food event that kind of raised awareness of the work that they do. So their Toy Box are based in Milton Keynes, but they are a global charity, slightly lesser known than kind of other charities in Milton Keynes. And we wanted to partner with other charities in the area excuse me, that do similar work and mirror the work they do. So the first year we partnered with St Mark's Meals and Girl Pack, and then in the second year we partnered with YMCA, and then this year we partnered with Urban Believers and the Herb Farm in Wolverton, because they all kind of do similar things to what Toy Box do internationally with street children. And we raise money for the charities on the day, but also awareness of the work that they do. So it's a really powerful event, and it's a real kind of physical manifestation, I guess, of the community that I've built online, and gives people the opportunity to kind of come out and experience all the values that I kind of have in real life. This year we had over 3,500 people attend, and we've raised £4,000 for charity. So it's kind of becoming like an annual event now, which is great. And I'm really grateful to Naomi and Emily at Toy Box, because they help with so much of the organisation of the event. But yeah, it is great fun, and I feel very lucky that we've kind of created like a recognisable event, really, which is great.
It's amazing. And we are running out of time, so tell. I mean, if people have been living under a rock for the last God knows how long, how can people find you on social media?
So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I am Sophie, etc. So Sophie ETC, and you can also join my Facebook group, Eat and Explore MK, where you can share your own reviews and recommendations for independence in Milton Keynes.
Thank you, Sophie. It's been so interesting to talk and finally meet you after all these years of seeing each other on Instagram. To actually meet you has just been a pleasure. So thank you so much. And I shall take up your recommendations on some of those restaurants, because I hadn't heard of them. So thank you so much for that. As usual, shows time has whizzed by. Next week's guests, I've got Steve Clark and David Pibworth from Milton Keynes Theatre of Comedy, and we have a double bill for Christmas. Actually, we've got Vicar of Dibley and Porridge. So I'm going to get the guys on to talk about this amazing event. Milton Keynes Theatre of Comedy brings so much joy and so much laughter, and I can't wait to have a bit of a laugh with them next week. So thank you for listening to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show. It's been a blast as always, and have an amazing week.